Hey, what's up? I'm author Jonathan Fink, and this is my audiobook series. This is Spirits of the Gridiron, Volume 1, Chapter 5. The Power Five. Before the billion-dollar contracts, before streaming rights and playoff debates, college football was a quilt stitched from regional pride and scattered traditions. Every corner of the country had its kings. Nebraska on the plains, Miami in the south, USC on the west coast, Notre Dame in the shadows of Touchdown Jesus. The Power Five did not yet exist. There was only passion and pride. College football's earliest days were organized chaos. Rivalries were local, often born from geography and grudges. The Big Ten, formed in 1896 as the Western Conference, tried to bring some order. The SEC emerged in 1933, built on Southern pride. But beyond those pillars, most schools roamed as independents or in loose federations. Games were regional slugfests. Bowls were rewards, not businesses. Then, in 1984, the dark power lords of fate, in the form of the U.S. Supreme Court, tore open the sky. In NCAA versus Board of Regents of the University of Oklahoma, the court ruled that the NCAA no longer controlled television rights. The power to sell games shifted directly to schools and conferences. That one decision changed the destiny of college football forever. Suddenly, television networks weren't just covering the sport, they were shaping it. Conferences began to morph, mutate, expand. They were no longer regional tribes, they were empires in the making. In 1991, the ACC added Florida State, a move that sent ripples across the college football landscape. The SEC quickly responded, absorbing Arkansas and South Carolina. And in 1992, the SEC created the first ever conference championship game, turning a regional league into a national brand. Elsewhere, tectonic plates shifted. The Big Eight merged with four members of the defunct Southwest Conference in 1996, giving birth to the Big 12, built from pieces of proud traditions and fading dynasties. The Pac-12, steeped in West Coast swagger, solidified its coastal stronghold, and the Big Ten, that old Midwest colossus, began dreaming of coast-to-coast power. By the early 2000s, the term Power Five hadn't yet earned the lexicon, but the reality was already visible. The ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC had the biggest brands, the most rabid fan bases, and the deepest pockets. They weren't just conferences, they were kingdoms. And like all kingdoms, they hungered for more. TV money flooded in. The SEC landed a multi-tier deal with CBS and ESPN. The Big Ten built its own network with Fox, a revolutionary move that turned schools into media properties. The ACC followed with its own channel. The Pac-12 tried but stumbled, cursed by time zones and internal strife. Still, the message was clear. College football wasn't just a sport anymore. It was a business. By the 2010s, schools like Texas and Michigan were earning more than the entire athletic conferences of smaller schools. Coaching salaries exploded. Facilities became luxury palaces. Recruiting turned into an arms race. And all the while, the gap between the Power Five and everyone else widened into a chasm. They were never officially recognized as a ruling body, but they didn't need to be. They had something better: autonomy. In 2014, the NCAA granted the Power Five special legislative powers. They could make their own rules on scholarships, cost of attendance stipends, medical care. In essence, they were allowed to operate by a different code, not out of malice, but out of momentum. They had simply grown too big to ignore. The college football playoff, launched the same year, cemented their dominance. Tactically open to all, its selection process leaned heavily on brand recognition, strength of schedule, and conference pedigree, all tilted toward the Power Five. It became a self-sustaining ecosystem. Win big, earn big, build better, win again. But as the money grew, so did the criticism. Was this still college football, or had it become something else, a semi-pro league? Smaller schools felt abandoned. Rivalries were lost. Entire conferences, like the Big East in football, crumbled. Those mid-major conferences like the ACC, MAC, Mountain West, Sun Belt, and Conference USA became spectators in the rise of the elites. And the football gods, perched high above in the spiritual realm, watched it all with disappointment. They remembered the days when a small-town team could shake the world, when fans stormed fields because they believed, not because they beat the spread, when bowl games weren't brands, but blessings. Still, the Power Five marched on, reshaping the map again and again. They were ambitious, bold, ruthless at times. But what they lacked, what they forgot, was that the game was never meant to be owned. It was meant to be played. And the Guardians of the Gridiron? They're waiting to see who remembers that first. But in the shadows, far from the bright lights, a rebellion is brewing. A league not built on media contracts or backroom deals, but on soul. The College Football League, a last hope. End of Chapter 5. Up next, Chapter 6, the Conference Realignment. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. As always, God bless.